All right, I think I'm up and running here. Um, and hopefully I've got the chat put up over my head here today. Okay, let's see here. I left off editing here. Whoops, I forgot that. Mouse in the left hand. So, okay, now I'm ready. And what I'm doing is I've already found the hidden formats that are by the first writers through many books. I'm compiling them together. What you see here is a 3-verse format right here. And the first one is a statement with a period, and then I have a comma, and then I have another period, which makes this a sentence that defines the statement. Okay? And then when I have another like group, I can actually call them a large paragraph. In their day, they would call this a psalm, and together these would be psalms, and they wrote in columns. I guess until the chat appears, I should put the formats up here for you to see. Because there's a verse in Jeremiah that talks how a scribe read in columns, read of 3 or 4 columns, and so now you're seeing what he was reading, the text. Now these aren't exactly our Creator's words, but they're what they felt was the important part of what he was saying. And so I honor and respect our Creator by putting in all capital letters in purple. And this doesn't have any other proper English at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read and edit and go from there, and you'll see how if I need to add some text, I do that. When I'm getting rid of text, I'll get it an 8-point. Red will mean that I needed to add a word, and it'll be in italic. So then words from Wyvie came to Samuel. Now the Samuel is the prophet at this time, and we just got done. I just got done showing you that there's a gap missing in the text that we go from like Joshua, who just passed out the promised land and divided up to the tribes, and now we have Eli's sons, and Samuel has grown here in this story, and now he is Eli is dead, his sons are dead, and Samuel is now the judge for all Israel. They got mad, or they came to him and told him that they wanted a king to be like other kingdoms around them. So our Creator was a little mad, but he said okay, and he had him anoint Saul. So I am mad at Saul. Now what happened here was Saul, what did he do here? Okay, the Amaleks. What happened was Saul didn't kill them all off, and he brought the king back and some of the best of the animals that he was supposed to kill off. Now, because he didn't obey our Creator, this is the conversation our Creator is having with Samuel. For he has turned from following my command I gave him. He turned from following. He changed. He changed. He turned from following. He changed from following. I'm going to put changed. So what I'll do is I'm saying I think this is a better word than this word. For he changed from following my commands I gave him, for he has not ended them, meaning to kill them all off. As Samuel met Saul, he said to him, "You have not done as he commanded you. Now for your rebellion, for not obeying his command, he has rejected yours as his kings," meaning his sons after him. As your ruling ends, Wyvie will seek out. No, it's not. As you can see that these come from different parts of different chapters. Let me see what chapter this started from. 15. Okay, and I found pieces in 13 part 3 that seem to go here real good. So now that I've got them together, I can edit them to make it read more correct. As it'll be your ruling will end. Well, this is coming from our creator, but I'm adding it. And this is actually our creator said this, or the intent of this word's coming from our creator. Your ruling will end, and I need the word "and," so I'll just copy it there, go here. Now, how come it didn't? Okay, it's a little slow. Got too much text. Got like 271 pages, so okay, I'm adding this. Your ruling will end, and Wyvie will seek out another male. Will he seek him out? Our creator knows who he's gonna have in mind. He knows everything, so Wyvie will. I don't think he needs to seek out. I think he will appoint. No, anoint. I don't know if I spelled that right. Nope. Okay. And this is anoint another male, and Wyvie. Oh. I got anoint down here. So and Wyvie will anoint another male, and Wyvie will make him and Wyvie I'm going to change it for now. Make him ruler of his people. This is being signed. Actually, it's a king. He will make him king of his people. King for his people. So I don't need this anymore. Don't need this anymore. Yeah, it's our creator deciding this. So I'm adding this. And whoops, I'm not doing that. I need to do that one. His people, for you did not obey his command, So let me save that. Then Wivey said to Samuel, okay, so this I'm going to sew together. I think that is the conversation is going on, and this is now in chapter 16, part 1. Then Wivey said to Samuel, fill your water skin with my lamp's oil, for I am sending you to Jesse in Bethlehem, for I have selected a king from among his sons. I have chose to Jesse in Bethlehem, for I have chose a king from among his sons. But Samuel replied, how can I go? When Saul hears of it, he will kill me. And Wivey told him, take a lamb with you and say, I am going to offer it to me. And this is making sure that it's first person from our creator. But you will go to Jesse's. Well, he's got to get the oil, so it's got to be then. Okay, so let me explain what's going on here. Oops, I didn't open up. Please, where's my maps at? No, open it. Maps. I'll use this one. Whoops. I forgot to set that. Now, to get closer here, Saul is here in Bethel, and the only road to go from where Samuel lives here, he's got to go here to get to the tent. So he would hear that the prophet is coming through. It's going to get news to him. And then when Saul asks him, then this is going to be his reply. But he's got to go here because this is the city, and his tent, I think, is on this side. And he's going to end up putting the oil in his flask, I think, or I don't. It's usually a wine skin, so it's going to be a water skin. And then he's going to come down here to Bethlehem. Okay, so that's the route that he's going to take. So it has to be in order here. And Wivey told him, take a lamb with you and say, I am going to offer it to me. And usually that means it's a peace offering that he's able to do, a 1-year lamb. So you have to understand that this is a peace offering. Should I note that? Well, I guess I should actually put a map in here. I showed you a map. So So I'm going to put a map in here. Okay, and this is a change from a 4 verse to a 3 verse, and then it's going to change right back. So Samuel went to Bethlehem to Jesse and his sons, and this would be Jesse invited to Jesse and his sons, and he invited him for dinner. This I'm adding, removing. So Samuel went to Bethlehem to Jesse and his sons, and he invited him for dinner. Okay. When his sons entered his tent, he looked at Eliab, and thought, surely he will be Wivey's anointed. But Wivey told him, I do not look at appearance. I am looking to the heart. Come on, get off of here. Okay. And now that went from a 4 verse to a 3 verse, so I have to put 4 verse up here. This way everybody knows that I'm aware of what is happening in the text. When his sons walked past him, and Wivey did not choose from them, Samuel asked Jesse, are these all your sons? And he said, there is one, my youngest. He said, yes, there is one. And he is my youngest. But he is watching our rams. Then Samuel said to Jesse, call for him to come. When he came in, Wivey told him, rise and anoint him. And I got to put the word and here. And Samuel took I'm going to have to put water skin. I'm going to take this and put water hyphen skin and get rid of the all capital letters. Say I'm adding this. With his lamps oil and anointed him. Okay, the next story. Now the Philistines gathered their army to battle against us, and they gathered by Zephra. Now this is the area, let me see, I still got that map up. Okay, now this is Zephra here, so I don't know if this, because this is the river, okay? So what I know is that this is the Philistines area, but I think that when Jonathan helped them here and gave them a victory. They chased them out of this area here. So this here, let me make sure that that's, I got PHA. Okay, so now what this tells me, I need a map with this city on it because I don't have that there. And boy, that's going to be telling whether I can actually pinpoint what this, where this is at. Gathered by Zephyr, belonging to Judah as they camped in the open. Okay, now what that means to me is this area that they come out. Simon owns this area here. Okay, so they wouldn't have crossed the river here. There, because this road here I have here is how this cart was sent back to Dan's area, and it was had the chest with that's supposed to have the 12 commandments in it that's being returned from the Philistines, and this is the path that they watched it go. So there has to be bridges over these rivers, and this is the path. So this bridge is well established. So it has to be, this is the field, and I'm going to have to put Zephyr probably down in here, because this is where the hills start. But down here is going to be like the lowland to the coast. The height here is roughly 1,600 feet above sea level, and then this here falls off quite well. It's not from the coastline to here. I think it's reasonably maybe 300 feet. So this area here, and they camped in the opening, which would be down there, and Zephyr's got to be a little bit closer. Okay, so that's going to be where the battle for Goliath takes place, though. And Saul and our army were camped by the hills to battle the Philistines. Now that, it was perfect because this would be by the hills. So it's got to be in here, more or less. So the Zephyr's got to be down here because it's got to be close to this river. So maybe it would be like right here, which now means I'm going to have to make a road to come here and then have to find an area here that would be easily traveled to connect to here, because this is the highway all the way through Israel. So that text, I'm going to have them camp in this area here, the hills. And this is where they were taunting them. So it's not really the hills, is it? So what's going on here? They camped in the open. And they camped. This has to be near them. to battle. Okay, that's what's going to happen. The story is now dictating the better stuff and correcting the text here. Yeah. Saul's armies were camped. Don't need this. Camped near them to battle the Philistines. So probably within a half mile of each other. Okay. The Philistines would stand on one side and we would stand on the other. Then their champion would come out for their army, for the army would come out for the Philistine army. So what I'm going to do is rearrange these words and put that here. And then what I'm doing is going to make it yellow and say I'm moving it from there to there for the Philistines army, which needs this. Then their champion would come out for the Philistines army. His name was Goliath, whose height was 6 cubits. A cubit is 18 inches. So let's see, how tall do I have him? 18 times 6 equals divided by 12 equals, he's 9 foot tall. If I take 18 inches off, he's 7 foot something. Let's see, let me try that again. 18 times 5 divided by 12 makes him 7'5". And I think that's a reasonable size. 9 foot is just too big. So I'm going to change his height, because you got to understand the people at that time, 6'1" was tall. I mean, so I'm going to actually make him 7'5". And because everybody's going to want to know this number. Okay. Now, all right. And he wore a bronze helmet on his head and scaled armor. This is shields, with shields on its legs. And what I'm doing here is trying to make it easy enough to read for a 12-year-old and understand these in the shields. So this I'm changing from this to that to this, with shields on its legs and a metal sword slung on his shoulder. Metal sword? Yeah, that's right. David's going to pick it up. They're going to take it and put it in the tent for meeting with our Creator, slung on his shoulders. Now he's got brass on him. He's got his helmet on. You carry your sword on your hip. Now it's not his shoulders though. It has to be on his hips, on his own waist, on his waist. With a metal sword. Sheathed on his waist. Sheathed on his waist, it's in, so when he pulls it out, he can fight. So I don't know if he's right-handed or left-handed. So I will do a spell check and make sure I spelled that word right later. So it has to be sheathed on his waist. And he would shout to the ranks for Israel. Now, ranks means that they were lined up by a few in a row, and then another line with a few more in a row. So the word ranks just has to be understood what it means. And they would probably be divided in groups as well, a space in between them to spread out, give them fighting room. Okay. They would shout to the ranked Israel, choose a warrior for yourself, and if he is able to fight and kill me, we will become your servants. But if I am able to fight and kill him, you will become our servants. When our warriors heard his words, they were disheartened and afraid of him. Jesse's oldest sons had gone with Saul to battle them. So Jesse said to David, take for your brothers roasted grain in 10 loaves, and to the camp with your brothers. Okay, they came and they would assemble as tribes to fight. So it has to be with your brothers. And it's not going to be this. I know the text talks about cheese. And why he would do the cheese, cuts of cheese, it means he's going to be more constipated, and they're going to be full without needing a lot of food. Roasted grain, they would get hungry quicker, and they would have to go to the bathroom more often. And that isn't what you want in battle. So where is this found? Samuel 17. So let me open up my text and get Samuel 17 out. Where is this? Samuel 1:17. I forgot there's, yeah, Samuel 1:17. Getting close. Getting closer. Okay. Now, how come I don't have all this in here? Okay, I'm thinking that we already knew who he was. That's what happened here. I removed that text because I know he was already there. Okay. Here we go. So, an ephah and this roasted grain, 10 loaves ran to the camp. Here's the cuts of cheese. So I'm going to put cuts of cheese, and I'm going to have to make a special note by saying here. So I'm going to take cuts of cheese. Oh, that's going to be in my text. I already made the PDFs up already. So cuts of cheese. Okay. I guess you guys didn't know I knew all that, but that's what's going to happen there. So this is going to be replaced. So I showed you where I got it from. Cuts of cheese and 10 loaves to the camp with your brothers and ask them of their welfare for your brothers' families and the news of the battle. So this is good. Okay. So David took the food and went to their camp. Well, it would be our camp. So this is being written by a Judean, or a person from Judah's descent. Okay, so that's how I got that who's writing this. So what I should do is, where did I correct it up here? I didn't. Oh, I did right here. To our camp with our brothers, our men, thinking. So 10 loaves and our camp with our men. With our men, but they are brothers. They're from the same descendant, Judah. And 10 loaves to our camp with our brothers. Yeah, I'm going to leave it as brothers. And ask them of their welfare for your brothers' families and the news of the battle. So David took the food and went to our camp as Israel and the Philistines drew up for battle, arraying their armies. Like I said, in ranks. They're arrayed, meaning everybody's assembled in their ranks for being arrayed. Ranks would be by tribes and then being arrayed as their armies. The armies drew up for battle, arraying their armies. And David ran to the battle line and looked for his brothers. Now this depends on what's being said down here, would I really have to join these together. Then their champion came forth, and he spake his words, and David heard them, and saw our warriors were greatly afraid of him. So this text that's missing could be missing, but I'm thinking people are going to speculate, and he had to meet his brothers. David's got to set down what he's holding. So I've got this in the wrong order. This needs to be moved up here. Yeah, and that's one. Then that would be 2. And then it starts to 1. This will be 2, and then that's got to join together. Because he's got then, I got to put the word then to help everybody out. So then David, because he's got to get rid of what he's got in his hand. Otherwise, people are going to say, where's that in the text? Well, actually, they removed it, and I'm saying it belongs right here. Okay. Then David ran to the battle line and looked for his brothers. When their champion came forward and spake his words, David heard them and saw our warriors were greatly afraid of him, for our warriors were saying, surely his coming out is to dare every one of us, even our king. Even our king. I don't have that right. It's got to be our king will give for the male who kills him. So I'm going to take this will, get rid of it, put it here. I'm going to get rid of this. Our king will give. Give us. Okay. Even our king, the male who kills him will give him his daughter. Even our king, dare every one of us. Even our king has promised our king has promised the male who kills him he will give him his daughter. Okay, so I'm adding this word, added that word, gotta get rid of this word. To dare every one of us our king has I gotta get the word promised in there, but that'd be too many words to make the format. I gotta stick to 2 here. I'm using promised and king for the male who kills him. Even our king has promised who kills him. Okay, let me try that. Take this. Put that there. And here, bring that back up. Even our king has promised who kills him, he will give him his daughter. Bingo. All right. Then David spake to the men who were standing by him. And I just wanted to check to see if my chats are actually working. Okay, something's gone wrong here. No, it isn't. And then YouTube, gotta see what's going on in live. Maybe reset this. Go here. Go here. Check the chat. Okay. I needed to check the chat. Alright. So, let me get back here. Let me close some of this stuff down over here. Because everything's running in the background. I don't need the extra stuff on my CPU, although it's only at 2%, so I must have bought the right CPU and main board. Okay. Even our Creator has promised who kills him, he will give him his daughter. Then David spake to the men who were standing by him and asked what will be done for the male who kills him and takes away their rebuke for Israel, for they are taunting wives. They're taunting wives men. Now Elab, anyways, his oldest brother heard him asking, and he asked him, why have you come here? I know you are disrespecting us. But David replied, what have I done? It's just a question. Then he turned to another and said the same thing, and David's words were told to Saul, and he sent his runner for him, Saul's runner. And David said to him, let no warrior's heart fear him. Okay, so David has returned to Saul here, your servant will go and fight this uncircumcised Philistine. But Saul said to him, you are not able to go fight their champion, for you are young and not trained, while he has been trained a warrior from his youth. But David said, your servant was tending my father's rams when a lion came and took a lamb from his herd. I went out after him, and finding him, I attacked him and rescued it from his mouth, and for when he rose up, I grabbed him by his beard, and I cut his neck. When he was rising up. I gotta put it that way because otherwise the claws are already up if he's up. So it's rising. Or when he was raising up. For when he was raising up, I grabbed him by his beard and cut his neck. He had his knife there. It isn't cut, it's stabbed. Stabbed his neck. That makes more sense. Your servant will kill this uncircumcised Philistine like the lion, because he has taunted the army of Israel and our creator Wivey. So Saul said to David, go and let Wivey be with you. Then Saul clothed David with a helmet and armor, as David was girded. He's already got him on, so why am I using this word a second time? When David with a helmet and armor, and after David tried them, then after David tried them by walking, and said to Saul, I cannot go with these, for I cannot run with them. And David took them off. Then he took his sling in his hand and chose a stone, and he put it in his sling and went out to their champion. And Goliath came out. When he saw David, he despised him. I'm going to have to remove a lot of these periods and commas and only keep the ones on the ends and the inside. It's the style of each writer. I know that this is supposed to be the statement, but the statement has to include the word David. I don't want the reader to stop here. So I've literally got it. You know how many days I've spent just putting commas and periods? You gotta understand, there's like 18,000 verses. Oh well, it's got to be done to do it right, because it's stopping the reader when he reads this period. Now see, this is just like it has, and he despised him for his youth and appearance. I don't want to go through and have to cherry pick all these. So there's going to be a big decision coming up that I've got to say I'm removing all of these at the end. Man, I know it took me a long time to do those in every one of them. Okay. And when he saw David, he despised him for his youth and appearance. And then Goliath said to David, "You come to me with a sling? Come and fight me." That would be good to be left around, so I don't need to read that. And the question marks I don't need to remove. Just the commas and periods. Come and fight me, and I will give your body. And I'll give your body to the birds and beasts. And David said to him, "You come to me with a sword, spear, and javelin." So he's got a sword on his waist. In two hands, he's got these. Throw that at the person as they're coming. Then with the spear, if he can't pull it out of the body, then he ends up with his sword. So, although we don't know that, what is set up here? Is I think I edited that he's got it more on his. All swords would be metal anyway. Yes, I'm getting to. I just know it's changed here. I come to you in the name of why the Ark Creator. I'm going to put image. Gotta have that drawn of him and of David for a visual in the text. I come to you in the name of Yahweh our Creator, and for our armies you have taught it. For our armies, yes, the tribes, and for our tribes you have. But there are tribes would be men, women, and children as well. So armies you have taunted. Today Yahweh will give you into my hands, and I will strike you down and remove your head and give your body to the birds and beasts. And then everyone here will know Yahweh is for Israel. Then David ran to battle. Then David ran to battle and slung the stone, and it struck his forehead. Then he fell on his face to the land. Then David took his sword and cut off his head. When the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. Then our warriors arose with shouting and pursued the Philistines as far as the coast to the gates of this here city. Okay, now that's what I was saying earlier, that it's a map, and there it is. So they chased them to the coast and then down. So yeah, it's right here. Now we know where the actual battle for Goliath took. David and Goliath fought within this 2-mile area. Okay. And this, I think, should also have a map here. Now, when you see the ruins of this Ekron, you'll find that it was made of bricks. So it wasn't something they could light on fire. It was well fortified. So slaying Philistines as our reward, as our warriors returned from chasing the Philistines, they plundered their camp. Then when Saul saw David kill Goliath, he asked Abner, his commander of his armies, whose son is he? And Abner replied, by your life, my king, I do not know. Then Saul commanded to bring him whatever son he had, then Saul commanded him to bring him whoever's son he is. When David returned, Abner brought him to Saul, and Saul asked him, whose son are you, young man? And that I've got wrong. Young male. Whose son are you, young male? And David answered, I am a son from your servant Jesse from Bethlehem. So this will need a comma. Bethlehem. Then Saul sent his messenger to Jesse and commanded him, "Send to me David," and David went. This is already done, so that's should have been 8 points instead of 10 point. Can't be then, it has to be now after. Maybe it's later. Later, but I guess I'm adding this. Later Saul sent his messenger to Jesse and commanded him to send, well, I've got this in the wrong area. All right, so I've got that going. Let me shut that off because I don't need to record it onto my hard drive. I should have done that right off the bat. Later Saul sent his messenger to Jesse and commanded him to send David to me. And David went to Saul to attend for him. Thus he became his bearer. When he was there, his son Jonathan became friends with him, and David went wherever Saul would send him. Okay, but that meant until there was war. Then he wasn't there, so we don't have other battles yet. But now when there's battles, then David went wherever Saul would send him. And as he learned, he made him over the younger men for war. And it pleased many of our people also, for he was Saul's champion. And the young women were gossiping as they played, and said of Saul, "He has killed 100, and David kills 200. Saul heard them and became very angry by this. Despised, he said, "They will make David the king of my nation." And Saul looked at David with suspicion from that day forward. Then Saul said to David, "Remain with me as a warrior and fight our battles." For Saul thought, "My hands will not be against him, but let the hands of the Philistine be against him and kill him." So the younger were sent not to fight and battle, but to maybe slay the ones that are wounded. I'm going to do that. The youngest. They would still be frightened of battle at this time, most of them. Give them courage with David being around them. Then they wouldn't, then he would lead them killing off that's the only way I can see that being from what the text is telling me. Then he decides to make him a warrior and fight in our battles. For Saul thought, my hands will not be against him. So David, how old is he at this time? "16, 17? Well, he's actually supposed to be 20 if he's now going to be made a warrior. And that means our Creator had set guidelines that they have to be 20 or older. With the youngest. Okay. So maybe he was 19 at that time. Maybe even 18 when he fought. Late 18 when he fought Goliath. So you have a young 18-ish fighting Goliath, who is 7'5", and he is what? Probably in his late 20s would be your strongest strength at that time. Because any kind of injury as you get older would wear on them back then. They just. Okay. Against him and kill him. And let him receive my only daughter Merab, and let him receive my only daughter Merab. By giving her no, it's not that because it's a conversation. Now this text could go someplace else, but I stuck it here. Here, because there's no war going on. That's what was going on. But if they're going to go fight. I will give you So Saul's got to start talking. I got to make sure this is Saul talking. So this can't be right. So, and be against him and kill him. It's got to be something like, then Saul but I'm making, what I see here is that I've kind of made up that verse anyway. So if I go, then Saul said to him, get rid of that. Say I'm going to get rid of this, and all this I'm adding. Then Saul said to him, my daughter Mary, I will give her to you as a wife. So, of her to you, comma, as your wife. So that is out. Then Saul said to him, my daughter, I'll give her to you as your wife. Okay. Let me see where that's going to fall when this gets out of here. Okay. So if I put that back in, it'll be right when it's taken out. David answered him, who am I to be the king's relative by law? So it came about, Merriman was given to Ardell for his wife, for a wife. Okay. Now I probably said that in front of people, which we don't have. Then Saul told Jonathan and his closest servants. Then Saul told Jonathan and his closest servants, he will kill David. But Jonathan was David's best friend. So Jonathan told David, my father as king is seeking to kill you. Please be on guard and stay away from him. And I will speak to my father, and if I find out anything, then I will tell you. Then Jonathan spake to his father and said, do not let my king be against his servant David. His deeds are helping you. And after Saul listened to Jonathan, he would not kill him. Then Jonathan found David and told him his words. Okay, now here's going to be another battle. It has to be now there was a battle. Now there was a battle, and David went and fought with the Philistines. Okay. And he helped defeat them with a great slaughter, and they fled before him. This is going to be how far they pushed them out of, was it Ekron? And then now down to another city. So they pushed them out down to here, or at least something like this. So they just took that part back. Okay. Then David said to Jonathan, Then David said to Jonathan, tell me, was he harsh to me? This isn't. So they must have come back up here, and then this great slaughter means that everybody was gone from here. They had to flee down here. So I'm going to give credit that the new map is going to have the line here for the Philistines. Because, and I'm going to show you why I'm saying that, because I know the battle's coming up. I've made another map, and where is it showing? Because David's going to be chased away. Yeah. Saul's going to come after him. And David's over here. See, I've got to trim that off. If I trim it off too much, though it makes sense, they were coming in and raiding Simon. So that's what this zigzag is, that he went and fought, battled them back along this line. And then I will have him going this way instead of the line there. It's got to come back because it's got to be by these hills here. And there's got to be a cave someplace. So maybe the cave is in here. And I've got this wrong. Because if they won this victory here, it only needs to go to here. Why would he cross the rivers? Why would he go this route? It's all in the open. He knows Saul is going to be out looking for him. So I'm going to have this cave here, somewhere in here. Probably up closer into here where there's more hills. Okay. Everything's got to go into this tiny little head and make sense. Then David said to Jonathan, "Tell me, was he harsh to me?" Jonathan said, "Tomorrow, if you are missed, I will know." So then David said to Jonathan, "Tell me, has he been harsh?" Yes. They went to battle. He didn't go with them. So Saul's getting older, by the way. So tell me, has he been harsh to me? Has he been not harsh? I'm trying to think what his words would be like if they aren't harsh. What are they? Has he been against me? We already know he's against him. So harsh to me, I guess, is going to have to go. Then David hid in the field, and when Saul sat down to eat with Abner, hid by. So David hid by their field. Oops. Hid by their field, and when Saul sat down to eat with Abner, David was missing. Jonathan then told David, ask Then Jonathan told him, David, okay, so then Jonathan then told, then Jonathan said to him, and I'm going to change this told, said, I think a younger son does not tell their dad or told. He's going to say, said to him, offhand comment, said to him, David asked me if he could go to Bethlehem to eat with his family. Now here I don't have it as a capital letter. To eat with his family, so he will not be coming. Saul was angry with Jonathan and said, as long as he lives, neither will your nation be established for the people, neither will your nation be established for our people, until he dies. Neither will your nation be as long as he lives. Neither nation. If it's neither nation, because they're kind of divided, neither will your nation, neither will our nation be established. Our descendants be established as kings. But that is so far off. But neither will your descendants. I really messed that up. Neither will, whoops, not italic. Neither will your descendants be established as kings. Till he dies. Until he dies. So Jonathan knew his father had decided to kill David. In the morning, Jonathan went to the field to meet with David, and no one was aware, only Jonathan and David knew. And Jonathan said to him, "Go in safety." Then he left. Go to be safe. Then Jonathan said, "Leave us to be safe." Okay. I got a burp here. Let's see, where's that at? Made it back. Alright, where's that button? Boy, I still got a burp. Okay. When David was passing by Shiloh, Ahimelech, our highest priest, met David, and he asked him, "Why are you without your men?" And David answered, "Our king has a matter for me in a certain place. Do you have food or loaves of bread or whatever you can find?" So our highest priest gave him the wheat that was before Wyvie. Now one of Saul's captains was there that day when David fled from Saul, and he went to Judah. I have that as a question because I was showing you that he's actually going to Edom. As big as been heard from Jonathan, and many of the men heard this, and they went and found him. This has to be the word this. And these would be men from his own Judah, men from Judah. So add that, get rid of that. And many of his men heard this, and they went and found him. Then Saul heard that David had warriors following him, and Saul said to his force around him, his I heard he is in Judah. Okay, that answers that question. And I've got it spelled all capitals with lower letters, which I think I decided that they were all capital letters. Are you two conspiring against me or hiding his friends from me that will lay out an ambush for me? The Deg, a captain standing by him, said, I saw him at Shiloh with that's the city. It's near the tent. So by his tent has to be the answer here. By his tent. Because if he was by Shiloh, then he could go into town and grab him anything. And he gave him provisions and gave him silver. Then Saul sent his runner to summon the high priest. And Saul said to him, Why are you and David conspiring against me? And have you petitioned why before him to raise up against me, or to lay out an ambush for me? Amhimelech, I guess, I don't know. So, to get rid of that problem in the future, let's get rid of all the crap I can't pronounce. Ahab answered our king by saying, Who among all your servants is as faithful to you as David, and is honored by your warriors? Let not my king assign anything to me. I know nothing. But Saul said, You will die, Ahab, and all from your father. And Saul commanded his guards to kill our highest priest for Wivey, and his guards were not willing to kill or hit our highest priest for Wivey. Now, why do I have a title here? Well, because the story's changing. So Saul commanded Dag to kill him and his fathers, and Dag killed him and his fathers that day. His 2 20s, 2 10s, which would be 20. Is 20 is 210. It's not 2 and 10s. It's 2 and 10s. Yeah. But a son named Abi went to David, and Abi told David, Saul has killed off his family. And David said to Ahab, Stay here with me, and do not be afraid, for he seeks my life. He seeks my life too, and seeks your life, for you are my life too. And he seeks your life, but you are safe here with me. You are safer here with me. Then he told David the Philistines are raiding Simon. So David asked him to petition Wivey for me, for I am to attack the Philistines. So Wivey answered, oops, just a second here, I gotta answer that. I gotta go silent here. How do I do this? I gotta get up here where I gotta just turn it down. All right, a very important call from my mother. And Wivey's answer to David was, go and deliver Simons. And David and his men went to Simons and fought with the Philistines, and they killed many. Thus David delivered Simons. But it was not told to Saul David had come to Simons. And Saul said, Wivey has delivered. No. Now it was told to Saul David had come to Simons. And Saul said, Wivey has delivered him to me by fighting with the Philistines. So he summoned his force of war to go to Simons. But David knew, okay, now this is that map that needs to be here. That means the map that I've got has got to be, where is it? This. He was in here somewhere, hiding. And goes here. Probably went top to bottom because he's in here. This is where Bethlehem is at, so he's probably hiding out near. Okay, I've got that drawn. That's according to our creator's hidden formats how he was over here. Now this should be, the next thing is going to be finding him in the cave. Will the people of Simon surrender me to his hand, or will he come down to me? For I asked as his servant. No, let's see. But David knew Saul would plot against him. Now David knew Saul was against him, so he said to Ahab, "Will the people of Simon surrender me to his hand, or will he come down to me? For I ask as his servant." And Wivey said, "He will come down to him." So David and his men left Simon, and they went wherever. When it was told Saul that David had fled, he gave up pursuing him. Okay, so this, okay, now this will be Abigail. That David had left and gave up pursuing him. And David and his men hid out in a forest Let me get the map, see if there's a city that's down there. There's Hebron, I believe, is down a little bit farther. So, oh, yeah, that was Hebron. I thought, okay, Bethlehem was up farther. So when I told you, so it's Hebron. So David hid out by Hebron. Near Hebron. And I guess this is a good city, so it should have got a capital. That means Bethlehem above needs to be found and put as a capital letter, and I got to decide that this is and I guess I missed that, but I know it's got to be corrected, so okay. All right, all this I've added. When David and his men went out, hid out. Hid out in a forest near Hebron. A male in Judah who was in business, and he was very rich. Oh, my supper or my lunch I got to get that. So just a second on that. Okay, let me do this real quick. All right. Okay, male in Judah. This, I changed to all caps. Although, no, I can't do that. Yeah, it has to be lowercase. Because I use all caps for when they're, that's what's going to determine how I capitalize the tribe's names. And here, all the way through, I've been, yeah, that was what's supposed to happen. I looked too quick. So I gotta remember that. Gotta start chasing. Oh, wait a second. I damn. I thought this was bold. That's too quick and not thinking what I did. So this is Samuel 22 in book 1. So I will find that answer out right now. Whoops. Still in. Okay, date modified. It should have been. Well, what happened to 1 Samuel? Let me put them in order that way. Okay. Yeah, that was the first Judah. And it was, okay, it was like that. All right. So I also have to say that it's italic. All right. Yeah, I just added that. Yeah, the story starts here. All right. Let me check the chats real quick, making sure that I don't want them. Oh, I moved that to here. And then okay. Because I went and canceled Restream and then I had to sign up for it again, so I'm not sure if the same chat board works. So I guess I could do that real quick by just typing in a chat. Does it pull up in the other one? I am here. Okay, it did pull up. The chat still works then. All right. Now, let me see if that pulled up where I'm supposed to have it here. If I get rid of that, it didn't come up. So I have to reset the chat window. That's what's failing there. Okay. Good day. Boy, I'm glad I got that working just in time. So, how you doing? What I'm doing here, I gotta see. Oh, that's a heart in a Bible. Okay, real good. Jieback 2. What I did was I found the first writer's formats in many books. And this, what you're seeing, is a 3-verse format where I put, this is pretty much supposed to be a statement. And then these two make a sentence that describes the statement. This becomes a psalm, and they wrote in psalms. That means these are really a larger paragraph. And right there above my head, you'll see in Jeremiah 36 how this guy read 3 or 4 columns. So now you're seeing the text actually written back in columns. So there is a 4-verse format as well. But what I'm doing is combining all the books together. I've got 270 pages combined. They're 20-inch long pages. And what I'm doing is trying to make one book to become one long, truthful story. Well, that's wise only because, example, back in 78, I'm an old guy. I was studying the Bible, and I seen a verse that was out of place in Psalm 78. I think it's verse 15. Moses struck or broke up the rocks and the water come gushing out, and verse 19 says he struck the rock. So I put the text onto my computer, and yes, I was one of the first people to start paying that big money. He just was told by our Creator to strike it with his staff that he used when he went into Egypt and then led them out. So it would be the staff that he was raising to heaven and asking our Creator for the plague to begin. So I put the text into the word processor, and I started breaking it down to shorter and shorter sentences, and then I started breaking them into paragraphs, or what they were grouping of words together. And the next thing I had a 4-verse beautifully written out in rhythmic the way they would speak. I think it was listen to my words from I can't remember, Psalm 78 again right now, but it's the story of them going through coming out of Egypt. But the thing there is I've been working on this a long time. I have got our Creator's hidden formats, which are more sophisticated. They have to follow 3 or 4 different rules. But what I did notice is that over the years I got very good at finding 3-verse and 4-verse sentences that break up like that, or like what you're seeing. And because I'm almost 70, I think this is time for me to say this is my last best go at all the text, and then hopefully be able to put it into a PDF. And then this text is more detailed than our Creator's hidden formats. But what our Creator's hidden formats gave me, whoops, I didn't mean that. I need this, but I gotta look under my camera to see. No, wrong button again. Get to there. This timeline was based on our Creator's hidden formats. And what happened here is you're going to see the accuracy rate here of when these kings were tangled with each other from time to time. This is such an accurate timeline that I've actually got down here. It's mentioned it's a plus or minus of 2 years over 400 years. So that's kind of what you're seeing here is the first true lineage of kings for Judah and Israel. And let me show you something that a lot of people don't know. And that is in Exodus 26, verse 26, when you change the word bars to arches, we now have what these pieces of wood or boards make is the roof for the tent of his house. So everything you've seen about his tent, they never figured out that this word needs to be changed from bars to arches. And there it is. There was a hip roof on his tent for meeting and his house for meeting with him. So that's new news to pretty much 99.9999% of the people. So, but glad to have you aboard. What I'm doing is I'm editing it and kind of just speaking to myself and trying to figure out if I've got the words accurately being said. For example, where's my maps that I had here? Because this story of Abigail and David, see, I had this here. I've been popping up here. I don't know if you were watching, but this I had David coming from the Philistines over here in this format. David was, I'm saying, is by Hebron when he asked to go in and battle the Philistines here from raiding Simon. So he was down through here. And then there was supposed to be a next story of that he's going to meet him in a cave. Well, that hasn't happened this time, because now David's going to get or marry Abigail, and then he's going to flee over here. So it's the way I pieced them together the best I could that is really, I guess I had them pieced wrong together. And this text is actually got more information to have a better story. So that's where I'm at. So a male in Judah who was in business, and he was very rich, and he had 3,000 rams, and it was time to shear his rams. So this doesn't need to be here. Now this story really isn't about shearing his rams. Because David's going to ask him for a ram here. And this I've got to put a question mark here. Because is this actually wrong that it's the time for Passover, his passing over, that he's going to kill off those rams and pass them out so all the people can share in the celebration? The male's name was Nabal, and his daughter's name was Abigail. And David heard in the wilderness. Now this wilderness I've changed is wrong. The wilderness, I finally figured out, is the land before the desert and before it comes land. That this, you'll have like a tree that's wind whipped of sand, and it'll have a small little bit of grass, a few little green leaves on the tree, and then it'll be like an island in sand until it becomes full land. So this has to be a forest. I had that wrong. So I'm changing it to this here. David heard in the forest by now he was shearing his sheep, which sheep should be rams. Oops. So David sent men to visit Nabal and greeted him by his name, said, "Peace be to you, and peace be to your family. I hear you are shearing, and I know your herders, and we have not insulted them, nor have they any missing all the days we were by them in the hill country. Ask your herders, and they will tell you we are David's, for we ask you to favor his," meaning David, to favor his men, to favor his I can't add another. The format is 2 major words connected with the least amount of small words. And I've already got asked in favor. And we ask you to favor his, for we have come for rams to have a spring feast. Give us 4. And whatever you had at hand, whatever you have. And this would be dates, breads, stuff like that. Have at hand for servants to eat with David his anointed. And Nabal answered David's men, Who is David? There are many of his servants here today for their families, and I will not give it to men who I do not know. So David's men went back and told him everything that David said to his men. Gird on your sword. Say strap on your swords. What I've done is I've edited it so much that I keep cleaning it up, the text. So it is a regular mess when I first started going through and cutting it up. So this is probably like the 3rd time I've got the text that I'm able to work on some of this, because I'm starting to put the story together. And David and his men left their camp to go to Nabal, but one of his servants told Abigail David sent messengers from the forest to ask from our master, and he scorned them for asking him. Now consider what you should do for your father's wickedness to him. Abigail hurried and took 200 breads. That's a lot of bread on hand. You had to tell her they asked for 4. Two 100s, that's 200 breads. So this guy was wealthy enough to have this, that he's actually helping out the people. He sounds like a real good guy, except for that he got David mad by refusing David. 5 rams already. 4 rams already sheared. And 2 baskets of roasted grains, and 4 baskets of raisins and dates, and 2 100 fig cakes, and loaded them on donkeys. Boy, that's a lot of food that she was able just to take and give to them that said to, gotta have servants to do all this. Can't just have one guy. Servants, go before me, and I will come after you. And as she riding on her donkey and coming to their hideout, she saw David and his men were coming down towards her, so she met them. Abigail hurried and dismounted from her donkey, and before David she bowed to David and said, I am alone, and you are my Lord. My Lord, can blame me, but please let your servant speak to you and listen to the words from your servant. Please do not let my Lord pay attention to worthless Nabal. But I, your maidservant, did not see the young men my Lord sent. Now, my Lord, as Wivey lives, let Wivey stop you from shedding blood, from avenging yourself by your own hand. Now let these gifts be from your maidservant. Now let these gifts be from your maidservant. Be given to my Lord. Gifts from your maidservant. Be given to my Lord, and be given to your men who accompany my Lord, and please forgive him, for Wivey will make my Lord to live on because of my Lord's will. You are fighting our battles, and let Wivey find no evil in your days. Then it will happen, Wivey will appoint you king for Israel, and when Wivey is kind to my Lord, remember your maidservant. And he said to Abigail, blessed are you by Wivey, for he has sent you to me. I think I can get rid of that. For you have kept me this day from bloodshed, for avenging myself. So David received her gifts and left in peace. And in the morning Abigail told him everything, and Nabal died, probably from a heart attack. But David heard Nabal was dead, and David sent his guard to Abigail, and he spake to her, saying, David has sent me to ask you to him, ask you to be his wife, has sent me to ask you, to be his wife. I think I was trying to say from the guy saying to say this. And she answered, yes. And Abigail arose and rode on a donkey as she followed his guard. To become his wife. Then Simons went to Saul to report to David is hiding by their hills. Okay, where's that map at? Oh, let me see here. So, this is Hebron. Here's the field that he was probably hiding in this forest. They sent up to him, so now Saul is going to chase him from here. So this needs to be a map. So Saul went to their hills, taking with him 100 chosen men. And Saul camped by the hill camped on a hill by the forest. Whereas David was camped. As Saul camped on the hill by the forest, David was camped on the other hill. When he saw Saul had come out after him to their hills, he sent out spies. Yeah, the forest. I couldn't see through the forest, I'm thinking here. So when he knew, not saw, when he knew Saul had come out, when he knew, I'm going to have to make that yellow, knew Saul had come out after him to their hills, he sent out spies. Then he went to the place where Saul was camped, and David saw Saul was this has to be, he was sleeping. He was sleeping. He was sleeping in the center of their circle. Then David said to his brother, "Go with me to Saul." So David came in the night and saw Saul was sleeping with his sword stuck in the land, and Abner was sleeping by him. Then his brother said to David, "Please let me kill him with the sword in the land with one stroke, and I will not strike him again." But David replied, "Do not kill him, for he is my anointed. But I will take his sword and the skin of water and David took them. Then David stood on a hill at a distance between them. I've got them 2 hills, and there's got to be other hills to them. And this is the forest. He's there. Yeah, well, I guess it would make sense. Then David stood on a hill with a distance between them, and David called to Abner, saying, "Will you answer Abner? Answer me, Abner." Then Abner answered, saying, "Who are you to call to me?" And David replied, why have you not guarded your lord and king? For one of my men came to kill our king and lord. This is not good, for you did not guard Wivey's anointed. Now look for our king's sword and skin of water. Saul recognized David's voice and said, Are you David? And David answered, Yes, it is my voice, my lord and king. Why is my lord pursuing his servant? For what have I done? Saul replied, Because my life is precious in your sight. This day I have played the fool and have committed an error. For David said, Behold, I have your sword, my king. Now let one of the younger men come and return it to you. Boy, that was a lot of text without needing editing. Surprising, but so now this should have only one space between them. It's better for me to escape from him by going to Edom. Then he will not search for me. Then David, okay, map. Then David fled with 100 men to the ruler for Edom, and David lived with his men and his wife Abigail. It was reported to Saul, David had fled to Edom's mount. Then David asked, Is it Achish, the king for Edom? Oh, I gotta figure that out later. And if I am favorable in your eyes, give me land that I may live here. Achish gave him land that day to be close to Judah. Okay. Saul killed those who were conjurers and spiritualists. Conjurers are calling up the dead, speaking to the dead. Okay, speaking to spirits. But as the Philistines' army was gathered together, but the Philistines' army was gathering together, and were camped by Simons. Now, where could this be? This is Simons. They've been chased out. They can't cross into this river area. There's going to be a city here, and then they wouldn't be coming here. This land down here that I've got, this was Amalek's that Saul went down and took over. They camped in Simon's. They kept gathering. Okay, is it Simon's? They camped in Simon. This has to be bold. Although I gotta say I'm adding this. Camped by Simon. When Saul petitioned Wivey, he did not answer him. Then Saul asked his runner to find him a conjurer. His runner returned and told him there is a woman conjurer by us. Then Saul disguised himself and went with his runner. And they came to her in the night, and he said to her, Conjure for me, whom I will name to you. The woman replied, Do you know Saul kills conjurers? Why are you laying a trap for my life to bring about my death? And Saul swore to her, There is no death for this thing. So the woman asked him, Whom will I bring up for you? And she said, Samuel. Then the woman saw Samuel, and she cried out, Saul, why have you deceived me? For he called you Saul. And he answered her, Do not be afraid. What is he wearing? And she answered, A male in a priest's robe. And he knew it was Samuel. Then Samuel said to Saul, Why bring me up? And Saul answered, I am greatly distressed, for the Philistines are to war with us. And Wivey does not answer me, therefore I have called you for what I should do. And Samuel replied, Why ask me? Wivey is against you. Now Wivey will bring about, as he prophesied through me, Wivey will take his nation out of your hand and give it to David. For you did not obey Wivey and did not execute his fierce wrath on Amalek. Tomorrow you and your sons will be with me in the abyss, for yours will die by the Philistine. Yours has to have this. Okay. Now this, it's kind of unique to see one little piece from a chapter, and I don't have part one after it. So the only thing that I found in Samuel chapter 29 was this text that goes right here. Now the Philistines had gathered their army to battle with Israel. Then the Philistines changing this, getting rid of this. Then the Philistines battled against us, and our warriors fled, and the Philistines overtook Saul and his sons, and they killed his sons as they battled with Saul, and Archer's arrow badly wounded him. And Saul said to his shield bearer, "Kill me with your sword." But his shield bearer would not kill his anointed, for he was afraid of Wyvies. So Saul took his sword and fell on it to die. When his bearer knew he was dead, he fell on his sword too. The next day the Philistines came to strip the slain, and they found Saul and his now he only has 2 sons from what I can remember. So this has to be 2. Jonathan and what's the other guy's name? I gotta go find it because I gotta figure out the truth if I got 2 correct. But that has to be way back here. I think if I do a search for his name, oops, it's already down, so I don't need it. Now take this and go up quite a bit in the text. Let's say, how you doing, Nora? I haven't been streaming for a while, so, but you did find me. Okay, I'm trying to figure out Jonathan and Mel. Okay, so he had 2 sons. Okay. So I should have remembered where I was at, because this is way down here. Yes, 2 sons. That's what needs to be there, so I can save that. Still editing. Been busy. I haven't done much. I've been trying to take care of my mom a little bit. Running to the store an awful lot. Doctor's offices. And then I had a problem with Restream. It's just having to learn the program. I checked the wrong box when I set it up in OBS, and they keep giving me a new link to stream every time I stream through Restream, and there was no box to put that key in there. I finally got it working today too, so that's the other problem. So right now I'm getting close to the end because I've got to go over and pick up my ma's garbage cans and put them up close to the house. They've come and gone, and then my brother's supposed to be here in about 3 hours. He's driving from the other side of the city. Okay, well, right now I'm on page 80 or 79, and I have 271 to go, and I haven't added Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John to the end, and I don't think I put Psalms in there, and actually only 99 of the Psalms made it. So what I'll do is I'll put up the Psalms on the side here, and that way you can see the Psalms that I found, and the red text is about Jesus in those, so a lot of them I have are mentioning about Jesus in these Psalms, but I got to put them at the end. So it's going to take me another, I think until September, because my mom's going to go north to my sister's for 3 weeks, so I can really stream twice a day doing this, and I'm trying to do 3 hours to 4 hours at a time before my hands run out. So yeah, it's going to be a while yet. So glad to have you around. Okay. Yeah, you're from Kick. So I'm trying to remember this even. So they found Saul and his 2 sons dead on the hill mount, and they cut off Saul's head and stripped off his weapons, and they sent his head throughout their land to report this news. Now, that is, so here I've been trying to figure out where Saul died, and what I did was I said that they camped in Simon's down in here, and Saul came over here, and they fought back and forth. This isn't drawn right. They lost this area here, up here, just a little while ago I was doing that. So they sent his head throughout their land. Okay. To report the news, our warriors heard what the Philistines done to Saul, and our men returned and took the bodies and buried them by Bethel. He was established Bethel as the capital city that the king lived in at that time. Samuel died, and all Israel gathered together and mourned as they buried him by his house in Galilee, Gilgal. But David did not come. Okay. And Samuel was our last judge for Israel after Eli. Oh, I had taken out the story. That's why it's so empty here. So, I gotta... Where is... Boy, is there a big space here. I think that's because I was thinking there was going to be more text that was missing here. So now it might become really the problem of, is this the right place for this text? After that, David asked Abi to ask Wivey, am I to return to any city in Simon or Judah? Now this needs to be bold, or Judah. And Wivey told his priest to go to Hebron. And David went with his wife Abigail, the daughter from Nabal. Okay, so this is, but there's verses missing. So there's this, and then there's going to be 3 verses here. I don't know what they are, but this would have to say something like David was still hiding out. Because those are connected together, then there's a double space here. So yeah, maybe next time I'll be able to do a better right here and fill in what this is, because it's got to be something about David and his men did not know where to go. No, because I don't know where he's at right now. So okay, go to Hebron. So David went with his wife and David brought his men with their families, and they lived in Hebron. Then a messenger from Benjamin came. Now this has to be bold. Came to David, and he told David it was the warriors from Benjamin who buried Saul. And David sent his messenger to their warriors to tell them you will be blessed, because you have shown kindness to Saul our king and buried him. Now let why we show kindness to you for this goodness by you. Abner, their commander for Saul's army, he chose Ish, a son from Saul. This now says he has a 3rd son. This would have been like one not old enough to be. Oh yeah, I got 20 here, so he's got to be younger than 20, because 20 you can go out to war. He would have went to battle. And if the story is being said in order that they just got done burying him, he can't. Yeah, I got an underline that I don't think so. I'm going to change it to that he is 10 and I'll say 15. He was 15 years old. 10 and 5 is 15. So I'm going to get rid of this. They're both upright. So that means this has got to be upright. This has got to be upright. So I got to say I'm changing the 2 to a 10. And I'm going to change the 10 to 5. Get rid of this. Oops. Years old. Okay. When he became king for Israel, he was king for 2 years in Bethel. The tribes for Judah followed David, for during that time David was their king. No, this is a different story, so this, let's go here and get rid of this. Now, there was many, oops, I gotta put King's timeline has to be adjusted. Now there was many battles between the tribes for Saul and the tribes. Yeah, the tribes for Saul weren't all that good, so that's why I got a small t. But David grew steadily stronger, and the tribes for Saul grew weaker. Now Abner, with warriors for Ish, and Joab our commander, with warriors for David, met by the highway, dividing the nations. Okay, so this means a map is going to go here. And that map is telling me that this is between the two, and this is the highway that runs between all the way down to get to Egypt. This is, I put this curve here because they would want to stop and get water. If there wasn't, they had enough, they could go, and then this would be the last pickup for water as they traveled to Egypt. Instead of going all over the hills, this was pretty much flat land to get to Egypt. So that's the highway that goes through Israel from top to bottom. So then Abner said to Joab, "Let our warriors battle." So Joe's, yeah, that's a pretty good grouping. So I guess this is what's got to be missing. So Job's arose and crossed over, and each one of them picked his opponent, and I guess fought. It wasn't like an army fought that day. No, battle that day was, yeah, I guess okay. Reading only one sentence at a time. And it's got to be, and the battle that day was very severe. And Abner's warriors were being beaten. 3 sons from Zer were Joab, Abishai, and Ashnel. And we're going to shorten his name down, that's for sure. And Ashel was their runner, and Ashel pursued Abner, and he did not turn from pursuing to kill Abner. Then Abner looked behind him and shouted, "Said you, Ashel?" And he answered, "It is I." So Abner said to him, "Turn to your right." But Ashel was not willing to turn aside. And Abner repeated again to Ashel, "Turn aside from following me, or I will kill you." However, he refused and he turned aside. Therefore, Abner stabbed him in the belly. Then Joab pursued Abner, and as they met on the top of a certain hill, then Abner said to Joab, "Will our swords kill each other?" Or do you not know that that will be a bitter ending? Or how long before you stop? And Job answered, If you have not spake, now my warriors will stop the killing. So Job blew the horn, and all his warriors stopped pursuing. Israel's and Judah's no longer did they continue to battle anymore. Okay. So I think I'm going to call it quits for today. I've been there for 3 hours, and I got to go over and help my ma out. So I'm going to leave it here. I will continue, and because my brother's down, I should get a stream in the morning, probably right around somewhere at 10 o'clock. That way I'm getting Europe's time in the evening, and then maybe I'll start again at 5 o'clock, 3 hours each. So unless my brother needs some help over there, because I did buy my mom a new thermostat, but she wanted him to put it in. But anyways, I will see you, or stop by and watch me keep editing, because I got a lot to do yet. So enjoy your day.